Buffy uses its side characters so well. Consider Harmony, Amy, Jonathan, Darla. What do they all have in common? They all begin as small Season 1 roles. Harmony's a random cordy groupie, Amy is a witch in a one-off, Jonathan is guy who gets bullied punchline, Darla is someone for Angel to kill to prove a point. And then, all of these people eventually have a huge impact on the Buffyverse as a whole. This is a simple and incredibly effective bit of Buffy's storytelling and world building. It's not just that we get recurring side characters, it's how they're used. Which is to say, they matter internally, aka they get their own arcs. They matter externally, aka have consequences to the plot, evolve past their archetype, and relate to the main characters in some significant way. So, number 1. This sounds simple, but it makes a huge difference. Jonathan is a fabulous example. He starts out as an underdog for jock stereotypes to bully, but this builds and compounds slowly in the background until we get to earshot. And then he's both the likely suspect for something horrible and the emotional vehicle for an episode about loneliness. It makes sense that this guy that we haven't been taking seriously in the background would be feeling this way. And then, his issues don't stop when the episode does. He's not just extra broken for earshot. Because time passes, Superstar comes around, and of course, it's Jonathan pulling this shit. One teary clock tower conversation with Buffy isn't going to fix him. And then, it still doesn't go away, and he's part of the trio in Season 6. More insecure nerd boy behavior amplified by proximity to Warren. Until, finally, Jonathan gets his genuinely beautiful resolution in Season 7.
Well, I still care about them.
Think about how much less effective it would be if Superstar was just some nerd from Sunnydale is on a power trip. Or same with Season 6, if it were suddenly 3 random guys. But since it's Jonathan and we know him, it feels organic and makes narrative sense. Or consider Harmony. She's a sycophant who only knows her place insofar as it orbits something greater, aka Cordelia's gravitational pull.
You know what you are, Harmony? You're a sheep. I'm not a sheep.
So, after high school, she's lost and stunted. She's the girl who peaked in high school, and now a vampire who very literally cannot grow up. She's stuck. So, she's an unserious antagonist for Buffy to laugh at.
Harmony. Harmony has minions.
She attaches herself to an abusive older guy, not knowing
why I let you be so mean to me.
Still looking for identity in others. It's used as a bit of levity for early Season 5, but it also is a journey that makes complete sense for this character. Then, we go to Angel and she looks for belonging with the crew.
Is this what it feels like to have purpose?
Before trying a cult, and that not really working out either. Then, she's an Angel Season 5 regular, a vampire intern at Wolfram and Hart, eager to please and self-centered, but also showing us the milder side of vampirism. And all of this makes sense because it's Harmony.
I matter.
The point is, these things build. Just like for the main characters, side character arcs aren't linear. And just because these arcs are smaller or expedited, it doesn't make them any less significant. This creates characters that aren't just passive NPCs who shut off the second Buffy isn't looking at them. They're affected by the world, just like anyone else. A sort of subcategory to this is that characters are allowed to outgrow their archetypes. Characters that seem suited just for a bit, serious or comedic, can extend their shelf life. Darla is a Harley Quinn crazy ex-vampire girlfriend for Angel to kill. And then, wait, she actually has the potential for one of the richest storylines, and so she gets one. This woman who is so ancient yet has barely met herself, popping in and out of flashbacks before undergoing an entire, mostly gorgeous arc on Angel. And there's good attention to detail here too, like the throwaway line,
"Last time I saw you was kimonos."
And then making good on that in the Darla episode flashback. Like, sure, it's retroactive, but it's still solid continuity. And ditto for Jonathan. His getting bullied is a punchline until his experiences are taken seriously and have an impact on the world. Harmony is a typical high school mean girl stereotype, except then we also empathize with her. All of this primes you to not disregard any character just because they initially seem simple or comedic. Anyone can be humanized, anyone can be important. In a similar vein, consequences matter even when a character is temporarily out of the spotlight. They undergo arcs internally, and this affects the world externally. For example, Harmony becoming a vampire affects the plot and continues to throughout her tenure. Jonathan's experiences and his lessons learned and forgotten affect the plot until his end. Amy gets turned into a rat in season 3 of Buffy in a one-off and is almost a throwaway joke, and then affects the plot very much.
I forgot a lot while you were failing to make me be not a rat.
On top of this, consider Warren. He's introduced as a one-off problem/antagonist in season 5. Haha, incel with a robot girlfriend.
I made her to love me.
And then, the episode wraps up, but we're not done here. Those very qualities that drove him to make Robot Girlfriend become extremely relevant in season 6. So, things that appear to be one-offs don't necessarily go away. This is especially relevant because Buffy is a 22-episode season Monster of the Week show. So sometimes it can feel like things are brought up once only for them to disappear, or for a problem to be conclusively solved by the end of the episode, which can be the case. But by really utilizing character continuity, it primes us to expect things to return. We wrap up Jonathan's complex and superstar, except no we didn't. Harmony's joke era is over, so we'll never see her again, except yes we do. Buffy gives Lily her name, so that concludes that arc, except nope, here she is again. This creates tension, because you can feel that anyone can come back, that a small moment might matter. Like, yeah, of course, in this supernatural and small town, more people that we know are going to end up involved in it in one way or another. This rewards the audience for paying attention, and teaches us not to disregard anything just because it seems temporarily resolved. Side characters are also used to say something about a main character. They don't just exist to orbit the main cast, but reflect things about them in a way that gives them both complexity. With Jonathan, it's that insecure nerd trope that's also done with Willow and Spike.
You hated being pushed around by Dodd and the others.
So?
So you wanted revenge.
We all have fantasies where we're powerful and respected, where people pay attention to us.
Maybe.
How does harassment shape a person? How does being an outcast lead to overcompensation, and in what ways can that be destructive? Harmony for Cordelia. Harmony comes back to try to reattach herself to an evolved Cordelia, and through Harmony as her static counterpart, we can see just how far Cordy has come since they were kids at Sunnydale together. Harmony is the pieces of herself that she left behind. Amy for Willow. Willow isn't just drawn into unhealthy magic use by some guy, but by someone who was the first use of unhealthy magic that we saw, and from someone who knew her as an insecure teenager.
Maybe you'd rather sit home all night, alone, like in high school.
That is a huge component. Darla for Angel. She was his literal partner in crime for 200 years, the one who helped create the worst version of him. Saving her becomes a way for him to save himself in the ways he knows he can't. Her eventually coming to the same realization that
I can't make up for any of it. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Warren for Spike. Warren and Spike mirror each other since Warren's introduction in season 5. Spike admires Warren's work and seeks him out to replicate it for him. Both nerdy underdogs who overcompensate and want a woman to love them. Their parallels continue throughout season 6 before they obviously diverge. This makes everything feel connected, literally and thematically. Maybe my favorite example of all of this is Anne. She is in 5 episodes total. That's it. But she makes such an impact. Because her journey, seen through the vignettes of these episodes, is a testament to the way this universe treats its side characters. She starts incredibly simple. Get it? She's goth and delusional about vampires. She could easily die, or just disappear after the season 2 plotline, which isn't even focused on her. But then, she reappears at the top of season 3. Lost, just like Buffy. Because she's not a bit, she's a person. She's developed in a realistic way off-screen and is there to mirror something for Buffy herself. She's a window into Buffy's hopelessness, her lack of meaning, reeling from losing herself in another person. So, it makes sense that it's connecting with Chanterelle, now Lily, that brings Buffy back to herself and gives her renewed purpose. Buffy gives her the Anne identity, and this, too, could be a perfectly fine send-off. But then, as we've said, the character keeps on living. If you're watching Angel Season 2, there she is again. With no fanfare, she's quietly reintroduced in a way that is incredible narrative glue for this universe. Her experience with Buffy had a lasting impact on her beyond just a single episode. She's still in LA, and now, under Buffy's middle name, is passing on that act of kindness, inspired by her, just like Angel was.
I do know it's important to keep fighting. I learned that from you.
But we never.
Never win.
Not completely.
Never will. That's not why we fight.
Her internal arc is allowed to matter to the world. And I love that the show doesn't draw excessive attention to Anne's return. It's a nice way to have you point at the screen and go, oh, I know who that is, without feeling inorganic. Anne's never going to be in some dramatic, world-ending fight. What she is a quintessential Sunnydale girl. Aware of the supernatural, former vampire worshipper, just trying to build a meaningful life. Because
that's all there is. What we do, now, today.
Embodying the thesis of Angel's show, and there to emphasize it in the series finale, in the very last episode of the Buffyverse. Here to tell us, on the cusp of the really real apocalypse this time, I promise, that if you knew, none of it mattered.
That it's all controlled by forces more powerful and uncaring than we can conceive. And they will never let it get better down here.
What would you do?
I'd get this truck packed before the new stuff gets here.
It's just so good. These principles also apply to larger roles. Anya and Spike were supposed to be short-stint villains, but worked so well that they just end up staying. 2 monsters who outgrow their archetype. It's a pretty natural progression. Both of them stuck, depowered in some way, and orbiting someone else as a way to find themselves. Here's the takeaway. You don't want side characters to just feel like set dressing, or tools. They don't show up just when they're needed, but linger in the background so that they feel like they belong there. Sometimes Jonathan just pops up for a short scene, but it's enough to integrate him into our idea of Sunnydale's ecosystem. By focusing on him when he doesn't matter, it feels organic and earned when he does matter. Writing side characters like this ultimately widens the show's sense of perspective. Buffy saw Darla for 2 seconds and probably got a straightforward idea of her.
Scary. Scarier.
And sure, maybe we can surmise that the Darla character wasn't fully fleshed out at this juncture. But also, why would Buffy know all of Darla's history? It's not her story yet. She'll get an arc, but not here. And I respect that. This emphasizes that the perspective of our main characters isn't the only one that matters. And the world is bigger, more complex, and alive because of it.